and welcome to Straightforward. Today we're on location at the historic Metropolitan Baptist Church here in Columbus, Georgia on 5th Avenue with the one and only Dr. Curtis Crocker. Thank you so much, Dr. Crocker, for doing this.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's so much to celebrate. We have such rich Black history in our community. And I know we have a lot of people that come in from other places because of Fort Benning. And a lot of the newer people are not quite familiar with a lot of the historical churches.
That's right.
And so yours is one of the historical churches right here on 5th Avenue. The beautiful stained glass windows. Yeah. You offer so much to the community. I follow you on social media. Oh, yes. And then every second Saturday of the month, you're doing a food outreach ministry.
That's correct. We fed over 400 people yesterday.
Really?
The baskets that we gave out, feed the family of 4. So we were blessed to be able to feed that many people. So God be the glory. I just thank
Even
God.
in the rain.
Even in the rain.
See, I watch you. Even in the rain, and that's why I always cheer when we talk about community service, and I can boast with your name. Not only are you active in this community, but pretty much in the Atlanta region. And whenever given the opportunity, I always like to share with those that might not be aware that you actually served as a 2020 Census faith-based ambassador for the U.S. Census Bureau, which covered...
Thanks to you.
Well, no, thanks to you, because you are committed, you're a person of your word, and you are for the people.
And I think that's important because you asked me and because I felt like that was something that needed to be done for our community, especially within the brown and the Black community, that I did not hesitate, that I thought maybe whatever I could do to add value to that process, I am here.
Well, and you did it, and you were excellent. And of course, the Atlanta region covered 7 states, and you came down to Florida for the regional training and had input and great ideas, and we were able to come back to Muskogee County, which was my base, but our office is in Atlanta, and we were able to just beat the bushes to get that message out about how important the census was, because it determines how many resources come to your community. And so you did that, which was thankless. Long nights and days, and your wife was very supportive of that.
Yes, indeed.
And then you were also serving in another capacity as the chaplain at the DeKalb County Jail.
That is correct.
Now that's wearing a lot of hats in addition to being the pastor of this great historic church.
Yes, indeed. I did that for over 24 years, going back and forth. I just recently retired on October 31st from the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, where I was the lead chaplain indeed. But you know what? It's all about service. I am a firm believer when Jesus says, when you do it for the least of these, you've done it for me.
Right.
He says in Matthew that when I was in prison, that you come and see me.
Yes.
Come and visit me.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of times when we see people who fall by the wayside, I believe in second chances for everybody.
All of us need a second chance.
I know that's right. Because if I was to poll the community right now, if they're listening to this show, if I was to ask you a question, how many of you got caught doing what we used to do?
Exactly.
So, with that being said, I'm thankful that I didn't get caught.
Right.
But because of God's grace and his deliverance, he put me in a position now that instead of trying to hurt people or do anything to the adverse, and I don't mind sharing my testimony, he put me in a position so I can help people.
Exactly.
So that's what I think this walk is all about. Like the young folks say, we got to walk it like we talk it.
Exactly. And the two have to line up.
Yes.
Yes, and that's what I would, in one of my other lives, as I worked at the Calhoun State Prison through a federal education grant.
Yeah.
And I would always tell the inmates there, it's the caught and the uncaught.
It's the caught and the uncaught.
Let this be a detour and not a stop sign.
There you go.
And then I always would share my story to my class about the many times, and I know you can relate to this because you are a Morehouse grad, and I'm a graduate of the Albany State University.
That's right.
And all the times we slipped off to the parties at the other college campuses.
That's right.
And what, got in a car and then drove back to our schools.
That's right.
Anything could have happened.
Anything could have happened.
You know, and I always tease, you know, people probably not old enough to know, TJ Swan, they had two types, Easy Days and Mellow Nights. It was $2.50. So, you know, I'm just saying. So I would always share that story, you know, and so when we start working with people, we have to meet people where they are.
Right.
We have to provide second, third, fourth, and fifth chances.
There you go.
And when we do that, we make our community better.
You know what? There's a level of transparency, I believe, that all of us need to share when we are sharing with other people so that they can see the genuineness or
and the human side.
The human side, but also see also the spiritual side that God was creating as we were going through what we were going through. I did not have a clue what God was doing at that time.
Little did you know you'd be a pastor.
Look,
after all of the fun you had at the historic Morehouse campus, you never thought that you would be leading the flock here at Metropolitan.
But to God be the glory.
Yes.
He led me to this historical monument, and I'm so thankful to him for leading me here. We pastor a great group of people of all ages, of all walks of life, the successful and the unsuccessful, the church and the unchurched. And one of the things that I value is the simple fact that we can all come together, work together, as the word reminds us, all things work together for the good for those of us who love the Lord. So when I believe if we love the Lord, then you don't mind doing the work. Faith without works is dead.
Is dead.
That's right.
You know, and yes, we want to pray about things, but we have to get up and we have to do something. And then the thing I like about you, and I've visited your church, special programs and community outreach and family activities, there are no big eyes and there are no little U's. I mean, it's whosoever will, and then you extend the love.
That's right.
Not only have I seen that here in this historic church, but I've seen it out in the field when you were actually doing, as I always say, real community outreach, because real community outreach is more than just a photo op on social media.
Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what we're going to do before we go into more about this historical church, we're going to take our first break, go to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. The Columbus Memory Center, 7196 North Lake Drive, Suite A, Columbus. Dr. Jonathan Liss is a board-certified neurologist and sleep specialist committed to battling Alzheimer's by preserving independence, offering you the opportunity to get your memory number for free, the only vital sign for brain health. Call today at 706-327-4000 or visit columbusmemorycenter.com.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I am truly enjoying this visit with my awesome friend, Dr. Curtis Crocker, not just a servant of this community, but all over the South Atlantic region. I mean, wherever he's called to serve, he is there, willing to do it with a cheerful heart, and he'll let me call him anytime I get ready. But it's always for something on behalf of the people.
That's right.
So this church has a wonderful history.
Right.
And I'd like for you to share, because we are celebrating all the great things of Black history of Columbus. How did this church get to this beautiful, I mean, the stained glass windows, the beautiful chandeliers, and I know this is not where we started, but this is where we are now.
Yes. Well, in 1890, Metropolitan was birthed out of First African Baptist Church, right down the street.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, historically, there were four churches: Metropolitan, Friendship Baptist Church, and Mount Tabor. Every first of the year, we do a celebratory end of year service, beginning of the New Year service together, commemorating our historical relationship.
Okay.
So,
so now I've been here, and now I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the connection.
That's the connection. In 1890, Reverend Ramsey took a handful of people, and he came to this particular church to have a worship experience. You know, like in any black community, within any black family, we're going to have issues.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't know how to resolve our issues. So he brought a small group of people down here, and they began to build on this location. It's a wonderful location, and 133 years. But when they were building it, I was so amazed by this story as they were building it high off the ground. For some reason, I think there was a floodplain in this area.
Right.
And they built
and they were not that far from the river, right?
Not that far from the river. So there was a floodplain. So they built it high off the ground. But this is the story that I love. When I heard it, I fell in love with it. When the people began to put the brick, at first it was a wooden edifice.
Right.
They built the towers with the bell tower that used to ring every Sunday morning.
Yes.
But they began to bring bricks to the church, a little bit at a time.
Wow.
So over
piece by piece.
Piece by piece.
Oh yes.
So they I guess the thing that intrigues me the most about that story is that they did not stop. They kept moving. They kept working together until they were able to put all the bricks around this historical church. And with that being said, the original bricks are still out there. Yes, we still have some issues, of course, with age, but you know what? We've been the best we can to keep this structure in this church moving in the right direction. And that was under the leadership, I believe, the pastor. I've got some notes here. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's a lot of history.
That's right. Reverend James Henry Carter. He was the one who was instrumental in breaking this original edifice. We have other people's church mothers like Addie March, one of the church mothers, talked about her father, and I think that's where that story came from when we were talking about the bricks. But once again, they all work together. The bell tower, Reverend James Berry Miller, was installed on the main sanctuary on the backside, and we ring it every now and then.
Okay, just to make sure.
To make sure that everybody knows that we've got a bell tower. But you know, this particular historical church helped develop one of the first daycare centers for this community.
That's important.
In a recreational area within the church where all the kids would come together. But this is another great story here. In 1986, when Martin Luther King holiday became a national holiday, the Reverend Alex Williams started the historical ecumenical services here for people who can, on that particular holiday, can come and worship on that day, on that Monday, at 12 o'clock, at 12 noon, spend an hour in the worship experience, and then go back to work. Because you know at that time
everybody had to take off and then go back to work. And back then, you know, we had the meals all around and up the street, and it wasn't paved like we have now, and you're right near the hospital. And so, I mean, this location was a prime location.
Yes, indeed. But you know something, it turned into an annual event. And one of the things I pride myself in is taking that event now and expanding it, making it larger.
Yes.
Including a lot of the individuals that are working hard within the community. We started the humanitarian award
of the year
since I've been here.
Right.
To recognize an individual that has done the work for the community behind the scenes.
Yes, the unsung heroes.
Unsung heroes.
See, and that's even with reading this about the daughter of the bricklayer and that, you know, those are the people that make things happen.
Exactly.
It's not always the folks you see before the camera.
Exactly. See, one of the things that we talk about as we're celebrating African American heritage, history. Carter G. Worcester, when he talked about this month being whatever, Black History Month, but at the end of the day, we are all Black history. when I think about what your mama may have done,
yes.
and what my mama done,
yes.
and what all of you all who are listening, your loved ones may have done.
Yes.
It may not have been something that you may have celebrated, but you know something? Our parents, our forefathers made sure that we had clothes on our back, food on the table.
A solid foundation.
They made the sacrifices. Yes. So guess what? When we celebrate this month, or as we talk about the Martin Luther Kings and the John Lewises, talk about the May Francis Crockers and the Henry Eccles
and Jasper Branford and the people from your village,
who helped raise you
to get you
help
to
you
these
to
places.
be the individuals that we are right now.
Yes.
So we must. Reverend Smith down at Friendship growing up. Reverend Harris at Mount Pilgrim.
Yes.
Because those were the community.
Reverend Bryson.
That's
you
right.
know,
the community pioneers when I was growing up. That was my village. Miss Jenny Johnson up the street telling on me when I know I was so
she had quite a bit to tell.
Exactly. Miss Ash and Mr. James Ash and all of them, Miss Wright on both sides, Miss Dora Wright at the church, Miss Crittenden and all of them. That helped,
those are the people that poured into you.
So those are our pioneers, the ones who helped us with what I consider my black history.
Exactly, for Columbus, Georgia.
That's right.
Because they paved the way and they prepared us, not just academically, but they prepared us in terms of life skills and character.
There you go.
So when we left and went off to college,
that's right,
we made our village proud.
That's right.
So what we're going to do right now is take a break with our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Apple Tax Services for the best in tax preparation. 7413 Whitesville Road, Columbus. Call for your appointment today at 706-243-2590 or 706-243-2595. And remember, an apple a day keeps the audits away. The Miley Agency, 4903 Armour Road. Gerald L. Miley and William Ripsinger have been providing comprehensive reviews and insuring families in Georgia and Alabama for more than 50 years. The Miley Agency will work non-stop to find you the best policy at the best price. You can rest assured that your information is secure, confidential, and protected. Call today at 706-996-2045.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm enjoying this conversation with the one and only Dr. Curtis Crocker, a graduate of an HBCU, the Morehouse College, same school as Dr. Martin Luther King, as we celebrate all of our wonderful African American leaders that have sown into this nation. And we want to celebrate those that have sown into us in this community.
Yeah.
And so that was why I wanted this visit to focus on this historic church. I know you do a lot. I know that. In and out of season. That's what I want to say. Because sometimes we only see people moving around, you know, if it's a political season or whatever. Yeah. But you do a lot of programs that bring people from both sides of the river. You're right here near the Chattahoochee. Amen. So you have the mayor coming over from that side, Alabama side, and you have our mayor, and you've done this. This is not new to you. In the midst of working as chaplain in Atlanta, in the DeKalb County Jail. Now you're in Columbus.
That's right. I'm home.
You're home.
Yeah.
And you're working with life skills, trying to help train people so they can re-enter into the community and still have a second chance at life.
You know what? That's one of the most important things about that. I believe in second chances. All of us need them.
Grace and mercy. Yes.
Come on now.
So you're doing counseling and working with that now.
Yes, indeed. You know what? I have been blessed to receive a position at the Muskogee County Jail with Sheriff Gregory Countryman. I thank God for him and his ability and his leadership because he's truly a man of God. One of his visions at the jail happens to be something similar to my vision. When you're thinking about rehabilitation, you have to pour into people. And I think one of the things that we must consider that, you know what, cooking them ain't always been bad.
No,
You know,
no.
sometimes
Life and
that's
circumstances.
right, causes.
Right, and a lot
Right.
of times our children
Yeah.
don't get a level
Right.
playing field.
Yeah.
You know, the cards that they're dealt when
Right.
they're born, they just gotta roll with it.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. So I'm working with the lead chaplain there, who happens to be a friend of mine, Michael Sherman, Pastor Michael Sherman of Witten Hill.
Winton Hill in
Yeah.
East Winton,
in
my
East Winton.
community,
Your
the
community,
Dove.
The Dove, that's
Okay,
right.
I just wanna
That's
put
right.
that on the
Yeah, but I
record.
want y'all to know I'm from the South Side, from Cedar Road, Crocker High School, 1979.
Okay, but I'm a caller girl, so
I
we're gonna
know.
keep it at
We
the
gonna keep it
Dove
real.
with
Yeah.
Pastor Sherman.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. But anyways, people who deserve a second chance, and right now I am leading the drive for life skills at the facility. We're putting together a plan right now and we're getting the timeline together. I started in January. It's been a couple of weeks, of course, getting all the logistical stuff right away. Now we're working on how we're going to implement this plan with the inmates, so you know that we can help people just not be sitting there. The recidivism ratio is what we'll be working towards, lowering that thing to make sure that,
Because we want it to be a detour, not a
Yes,
stop
not a
sign.
stop
We don't want
sign,
them to
that's
keep
correct.
coming back because it's
We-
not the Holiday Inn.
That's right. So we'll be working with a lot of the residents. I call them residents because they're still human beings. who
Yes,
made a
they are,
mistake.
and they're still people's children.
That's right.
Yes.
They're still people's children. But to teach them how to develop a vocation through the Urban League and Tracy Mosley. We're talking about that plan there. Working with how to teach a life skill, anger management, stress management,
Right.
things that can help us be better people.
Right.
I believe that once we begin to recognize that all of us got something on the inside of us. I use a book by Stu Weber, Four Pillars of a Man's Heart. It talks about we've got the king pillar, the warrior pillar, the mentor pillar, and the friend pillar. And when those pillars get out of line, we turn into something else. All of us have the capabilities.
And what's the name of that book again?
Four Pillars of a Man's Heart.
Four Pillars
by
of a Man's Heart.
By Stu Weber. It helps us to recognize who we are, and when we get to a point of uncertainty, sometimes we lean, our pillar may lean, and it may turn us into something else. So we're teaching that life skill at the Muskogee County jails as well. So, you know, God has been good. Even here at the church, since I've been back, we're talking about experiencing God, which means that sometimes we have to recognize who we are in God to develop a stronger connection with God, so we can see where God is leading us, because all of us got purpose.
A plan and a purpose for all of our lives.
And if we do not understand what our spiritual niche is, we're going to do anything. We can fall for anything. And when we begin to fall for anything, that's when we begin to lean, going back to the book, to the left or to the right. So one of the things here, while I am in Columbus, we're going to do everything by the book.
By the book, decent and in order.
By the book, decent in order. What I mean by the book, we're going to follow the script that God has given to us through the Holy Word. So with that being said, I am so thankful that God has me in this place, in this season. And I think that it took, for me, a lot of things that have happened in my life that made me stronger, made me better. I think when my mom died a few years ago, it made me recognize the power that she left with all of us and my siblings. When I say all of us, my
siblings, yes.
And that strong foundation. And like I said, she's a part of my Black history.
Yes, she is.
So with that, and my father, Curtis Crocker Sr., Deacon at Friendship Baptist Church, part of my Black history. So I am so thankful for God has me right now, because I believe that all of us have been blessed to be a blessing to somebody else. So
and whatever we do, we got to be real.
That's right.
It's got to be real.
That's right.
Because if it's not real, it shall pass away.
It shall pass away.
It shall pass away.
And also, beloved, Columbus, Georgia, be careful of the individuals that you associate yourself. Make sure that, and I'm not saying that to say anything negative. And you know, one thing we have to do within our community, stop promoting the negative energy. Let's make sure that if we're going to do something, that we learn how to do it together.
Right.
We have a lot of power within our community. Black history, we have a lot of power. So with that being said, let's find avenues to work together instead of finding avenues to fight against each other.
Right, and we have to learn,
Yes.
Dr. Crocker,
Yes,
that sometimes the best person for the job is not necessarily our friend. We have to learn
That
to
part.
pick the best person
yeah,
that have the best skills
that's right,
for the mission.
that's right,
And so if we do that
right.
and not be begrudging or hold resentments,
Mhm.
then I think our community could really grow
Yes,
like
indeed.
we see some of the other cultures.
Yeah.
See, because if I had a terminal illness,
Mhm.
I don't have to, doctor doesn't have to know my name.
Yeah.
I just need for him to be the best
To be the best
in
doctor
his
there.
field.
There you go.
Right.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do. And at that, saying that as well,
Mhm.
we must learn how to communicate.
Yes,
Even if it's somebody we do not agree with.
Right.
That we learn how to communicate
right.
because the big picture is bigger than us as individuals.
Yes, somebody
Amen.
bigger than
That's
you
right.
and I.
That's
Well, I
right.
thank you so much for this
Amen.
visit. We
Amen.
will do this again. We're going to
Amen.
circle back and check with
Thank
you
you so
and
much.
hear
Thank you
how
so
the
much.
progress is coming
Yes.
for this community.
Amen. Thank you so much. I thank y'all for being here, for allowing us to share with you, even to take a look at these stained glass windows. I had Dr. Judy Purnell come in and she talks about them quite often, but
Yes.
we just say thank you.
Yeah.
You so
Well,
much.
thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right. This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.
What up, world? What's up, Columbus? Be sure to tune in every Sunday, Straightforward with Gloria Strode, right here on NBC 38.